we talked about this morning is when you're starting to look at your formula for success and what do you want to be creating moving forward, what's super important is to be thinking about where are you coming from, right? I mean, I think there's so much focus, especially those of us that live in developed nations. We have so much focus on what's not working, on where we're not good enough, where we're not doing enough, where we're not having more. And I think it's just, it's a way of creating from an empty well that doesn't really work. So one of the things I'd like you to start with, if you've got a pen and a paper and you can take notes today, that'd be great. And like I said, write to me and let me answer any questions for you that I can. But first thing I would recommend that before we even get started is just take a minute, if you've got a pen and a paper, if you're taking notes virtually, write down a few of the things that you're really grateful for from 2016. This morning we had a legacy leader call, which are our clients who work with us for a full year. And, we're all looking at it from the context of business, but business is just one small section of our lives. We spend a lot of our working hours, if we look at our lives, some of us spend a third of our life at work, but you still have your family, you still have your health, you still have your relationship with God, source, and the universe. You still have your purpose on the planet. I want you to just take a few minutes right now and think about what are you really grateful for that you accomplished in 2016. And while you're taking a few notes for yourself, I'll share a few things for you around my own experience. And that is, from a more personal standpoint, my husband and I built many businesses together. We've been really successful in a lot of ways. And when I started receiving my calling to do work with philanthropy and work with women in leadership, we really had a hard time dancing with how that would work for us as a couple, because it's not the thing that brought us together. And fascinatingly enough, the calling came about the same time as our children were leaving the nest. And when he and I got married, my son was 7. He had just turned 7 a few weeks before. And our daughter, Erica, was 3. And we really, I feel like in the bigger sense, came together to raise a family with one another. And it was always his dream to have children and, have a home and a family. And he had a son, Scott Jr., who he had not been able to live with since he was 2. And he came to live with us too. So we had this amazing coming together of his dream and my dream. And we've been married. We just celebrated our 17-year anniversary, January 1st. So for me, when I look at, 2016, we've moved a lot. We've kind of been going through a lot of shifts and changes, but that's really been one of my greatest successes, I believe, this year, is looking at where are we at. And I think when we're looking at this picture of what does success mean? For me, when I look at this slide, I was thinking this morning, I was like, what does it look like? What is that chaos in the world? I know that some people's minds work like this, scientifically and numerically. Mine doesn't. My mind really works in a bigger scheme of where my passion is, where my excitement is currently. And the challenge then becomes, if I'm excited about one thing, what's happening with the other things? Are they being done? Are they being taken care of? Are they actually being addressed? So looking at life kind of in the big microcosm, there's all of these. I'm trying to see if I can minimize that. There's kind of this bigger picture. And what I want you to take a look at with me today is the smaller picture, kind of like what's our next steps in a smaller way. Success steps. Oops, come back. So, I would say that in my experience, one of my superpowers has been to take big visions and big ideas and break them down into little small steps. And if you can really reduce things to the ridiculous, you'll see that this works for you not only in life, but in business. And I think we all live on systems, but most of us are pretty unconscious about how we're doing that. So what I want to look at with you today is, what your goals are. And my goal for the event, if we can call it this little baby event, are very, very simple. First and foremost, I'm here to provide value for you. So you've honored me with your time. It's a Saturday. I really appreciate you coming. I kind of threw this out, and it was a spontaneous thing, like, hey, I'm getting a lot of requests for how you do things. And I'm seeing people very angst-ridden, and I'm seeing my friends. A lot of my friends came out of a painful year in 2016, and they're very optimistic about what they want to create in 2017. And I want to support them in having that adventure. And what I want to say is that sitting down and doing a plan, if you read my email, doing a plan once a year just isn't going to cut it. So I want to look at your life with you from multiple perspectives and really give you the tools that I know have helped me in all areas of my life, to really find focus and simplify things, right? So simple value is the most, highest value I can give you is really simplifying things. But I know, because I work with my AAA women, that we can make it more complicated than it needs to be, right? And so if you're new to my world, what I mean by AAA is that we don't tend to attract just the high achievers of the world. We tend to attract the super duper high achievers of the world, right? Not the type A's, but the AAA alpha women. And what happens for us is we get exhausted, right? We just do too much. We ask too much of ourselves, and we forget how far we've come. Many of us have come from, not the easiest of childhoods or not the easiest of backgrounds. We all have our story, and we get in our own way, right? As my dear friend Jennifer Huff says, we get in our own way. So if we can find ways to simplify our lives and really remember the value that we have, and I can share with you again just daily tools that I use. I mean, I've got, when I stop sharing my screen, I'll come back to the camera. I don't know, you guys can, I don't know if you can see or not, but I've got like my calendars out and my papers, my notes to show you. But yeah, some of the tools that I use on a daily basis, I'm happy to share with you. And then when we wrap up, and I'll go ahead and put it out now, because somebody had said to me, Jennifer Darling had said, I want to be on your call, but I'm only going to be there for a few minutes. And other people that are with my good friend Katarina Rando is having an event today. They're like, please, can we do this? So what I want to do is let you know that I'm going to give you an invitation for you and I to co-create. And what that means is this is not a sales webinar. I don't have any, there's no breakdown for you of how the Accelerate program works or what it's like to be a legacy leader. None of that's in this today. My goal today is to really just say, how can I help you, meet you where you are? And some of you are going to feel comfortable asking questions. I'm so happy to spend the time answering them and really help you with your own process of getting clarity and manifestation. And then some of you are not going to feel comfortable doing that. And you may be thinking, just because I get this frequently as feedback from people like, gosh, Laura, I'd love to work with you someday. None of us know when someday is going to come. We really don't. And I talk about it in my first book, Stop the Spinning, kind of the 3 Ds, the wake-up calls that happen for people. And what, just kind of to move into that is that a lot of us are going through life. We're doing what we think we're supposed to do. We're doing what our parents told us to do. We're doing the best we can. And then something happens and it's not what we're expecting. And a wake-up call usually comes in the form of what I call the 3 Ds. So it can be either somebody we love dies and we're lost in that moment and just thinking like, how did that happen? That's not what I expected. We can get sick. Our bodies can shut down. We can start experiencing disease. Or again, somebody we love may start having a disease and really moves us into that place where we start recognizing how precious time is. It's the most precious resource any of us have. And it's really, really irreplaceable. The third for me that I experience with a lot of other women is going through a divorce. And I've met several women this year actually who had been going through the universe is so funny, right? So going through divorce after being married for 15 years, 17 years, 20 years, when you think like, gosh, you've kind of made it through, which it's fascinating for me because my greatest accomplishment this year is that I'm still married and really moving into a new level, a new season relationship with my lover. So that divorce, my first divorce really knocked me on my ass. It was not something I was expecting. I had 2 little kids. My kids were 2 and 5 at the time. It was very devastating and really made me challenge what I believed and who I thought I was here to be. So if you're experiencing some kind of wake-up call and you're looking at your life with a new perception or a new vision, now's the time to really bring into consciousness what you're capable of creating. And my invitation is for you and I to co-create. If you and I are meant to work together, it's going to happen in a place of ease and grace, because that's really, honest to goodness, how all my relationships happen. I teach a course each year called Sales with Ease, because I really think sales is easy. I think sales is the easy part. I think money is the easy part, but it doesn't feel easy when we haven't learned these other distinctions. We haven't learned the things underneath that I'm going to share with you today around the formula for success. So if I may be of support to you in any way, I'm going to give you the link to my personal calendar, my email address. Please don't hesitate to reach out, because the worst thing I think any of us can do is say, someday I'm going to do something, and it just doesn't happen, right? And I don't want you leaving the planet with regrets. I want you really here feeling fully expressed and living your life with passion and doing the things that you're here to do. Because each of you, I know, if you're here, you're called to live a bigger purpose. You're called to serve others in a way that most of the people in your life probably don't understand. And it's super important to be around other people who really do understand you, to support you as you go on this journey, because it can get really lonely otherwise. All right, so a little bit about me, if you just don't know me, or some of you do know me, but you maybe don't know me in this context. And it's so funny because I sat down and read out this whole script of what I was going to say, and of course I'm like not going to use any of it. So it's good. I'm going to try to follow through the slides and then get to Q&A, because it's always my favorite part. I love solving problems. But for the business context, if I can just give you a short version, I've owned 9 companies. I married into a family business when I was 23, and I just turned 50 this year. And some of them are here. I couldn't find all the logos this morning, but we had Medieval Inn. That's me dressed as a wench when I was 23. And we had a medieval style pub where we had 38 different beers on tap, and we dressed as wenches, and the guys kind of dressed as knaves. They weren't really knights, they were knaves. And we had a dinner theater there, and it was super fun, and people ate with their hands, and it was just a blast, right? And, I married into that family business, and we had $1 million business when I was in my early 20s. And I think, like most of us, I just didn't really realize what was going on. But a common thing that I would be asked at that time was, you're here all the time. Do you feel like you don't have a life? And my answer was, no, this is my life. I mean, I really was 7 days a week in that business. We were there 7 days a week. We were open until 2 in the morning. We would go out and eat Chinese or Denny's, go home, watch a movie, kind of like normal people do at 5 p.m., right? Eat dinner, watch some TV and go to bed, and then get up and do it all the next day. And it was fine and wonderful, when I was young and I didn't really know any better, but it really wasn't healthy, and it wasn't conducive to having a family. And so for those of you that are mommies and you understand what I'm saying, something happens when we get blessed with our babies, and then what we desire and what we want to do in the world starts to shift and change. So for me, it certainly did. And I started looking at what I wanted to create in a whole new way. So we moved to Arizona in 1996, did a lot of real estate development, real estate sales, and sold the businesses. So the short version of the endless story of my business world so far is that in the last 27 years, I've owned 9 different companies and I've sold 6 of them. So what I'm most frequently asked to speak about is monetizing a business, building a business. How do you find life balance? How is it possible? I have a copy here of my first book, Stop the Spinning, Move from Surviving to Thriving. If you are interested in having a free copy of that book, if you haven't already read it, if you go to laurafreebook.com, sorry, I didn't type it out for you, but it's www.laura, L-A-U-R-A, free, F-R-E-E, book, B-O-O-K.com. You can go to laurafreebook.com and get an e-copy of that book. And what I've come to really understand over the last few years is that there's a whole community of women that I'm here to serve in a much bigger way. And it has to do with bringing philanthropy to the world in a way that hasn't been done before. And I know that philanthropy for me sounded like somebody else's word or something that was out there way bigger than I could fathom. And what I've come to know is that philanthropy starts happening when we all work together and we all do a little bit. And we're uniquely qualified for philanthropy because we know how to collaborate. We like sharing with one another. Many of us have been successful, what looks like success on the outside in business, by being very masculine and driven, but at the same time, there's a cost to that, right? It doesn't actually work for the long term. So when we actually come together as women, and there's a picture here of my Limitless Women event. So what I do now in the world, if you will, is I'm an author. I've written 2 books. I couldn't find a picture of Limitless. I wrote a book called Limitless Women, but I couldn't find a picture of it for you this morning. And I'm working on my 3rd book right now called Give Your Way to Millions. And I spend about, I don't even know this year, but probably about 6 weeks on philanthropy trips working with 4 different nonprofits, actually 7 weeks this year, with 4 different nonprofits in South America and Africa. That's where Rebecca and I got to go play together, so lovely and angel. And so what I do in the for-profit sector is work with women business owners who are interested in building a thriving company that creates impact and is purposeful, right? So getting the profits is one piece, but really tying that in with purpose-driven business. And in the nonprofit sector, I work with nonprofits on how to scale their businesses, because nonprofits and for-profits are both businesses. There's just a little different tax structure and how they do things, but really we're all in the same game of how do we reach more people. And what I find is that when I'm blessed to travel the world, this is a picture of my daughter, that's my daughter's cute little skinny booty there, building a school in Africa. And the other picture is a picture of me in South America. But what I find is that I'm traveling the world, it's really true that we're so much more alike than we are different. And, there's this idea that somehow we're going to get there someday, and this is it. This is the someday. So this is the time for us to come together in community. And I host 3 live events. In 2017, I'm hosting 3 live events. One is Limitless Women, so please write down the dates, because I would love for each of you to come with and to come be at the event and, just share resources and mastermind and enjoy being with us. The dates are April 7th through the 9th, 2017. We are in Newport Beach at the Newport Beach Marriott. The website is limitlesswomen.com. And then June 9th through the 11th, by popular demand, I'm bringing back Money, Marketing, and Sales Secrets for Women. I did this event 3 times I've done it in the past, and I didn't do it last year, and I got requested to do it again this year. So I'm doing it in June, and it'll be somewhere in Southern California. I don't have a specific venue yet. And then in October, we do the Path to Freedom. And the Path to Freedom is our only co-ed event. Men are allowed to come to the women's events, but they just usually don't. Actually, a few guys come and they love it because they're like the only guys in the room. They get a lot of love and attention. But the Path to Freedom, we have a lot of couples that are in business in our arena, and we love when partners come to events, because there's nothing like being able to share your business and your life with your beloved. And so the Path to Freedom will have a lot of our same women coming through the system, and some men, and then a few cool men who are not in coupledom with women, but are looking for, again, purpose, impact, and legacy. So that's really who we serve in today's world. Alrighty, so today I'm going to talk to you about, how do you actually achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve? And I know that sounds big, and I know it sounds grand, and it sounds like, a little bit of the pie in the sky thinking, but I promise you, when I say things like money is the easy part, the reason I say that is because the place where I see us all struggle as leaders is in keeping our mindset straight, keeping our focus in the right place. And in the corporate world, we're working with bigger organizations, they call this leadership. In the entrepreneur space, and when we're kind of amongst our friends, we really know that it's our mindset that can help us stay on track, or it can pull us away. And, just as a brief background piece also, I don't want to make this the Laura show. I want to get to actually giving you the steps, but I think it's important to share that the life that I live today is not a life that I ever imagined as a child. My mother was a teenager when she got pregnant with me. And a few weeks after she found out she was pregnant, my father was killed. And so she was a single mom as a teenager, living with 3 other girls in like a 2-bedroom apartment with no idea how she was going to do it. And it was really, really scary for her. And she tried to have an abortion, and it didn't work. And so then she was in pain and scared. And it was, obviously I'm still here. God had a bigger plan. But it wasn't easy, and most of my childhood wasn't easy. It was a series of stepfathers, and grew up with a tremendous amount of violence and drugs and alcohol. And it was really, I tell you that because it was really, truly my normal. It's what I knew. And when I first started out as a young woman, I lived with a man that beat me on a regular basis, and I worked 2 jobs. I put myself through school, started community college at night because I had, that's what I could afford to do. And then I went to a state school, worked all the time. And I just never really felt like no matter what I did, it just wasn't enough. And one day I went to work, and one of the women I was working with pulled me outside and just said, listen, it's not okay. You can't keep coming to work with bruises on your face. This isn't, you're withering away. I weighed 98 pounds at the time. She said, we've got to get you some help. This isn't how it has to be. And to me, my answer was like, no, I've got this. No problem. I'm okay. And what I find so fascinating is clearly I got some help. She helped me get some help. and started counseling. And someone handed me Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, which is one of the reasons that I sit down and write the books I write today, because that book really did change the trajectory of my life. And I think that the piece when I see today of women that I'm working with who are beautiful, strong, powerful women, that same answer still comes out when I say, hey, it doesn't have to be so hard. I get that feedback of like, don't worry, I've got this, right? There's no valor in that. It doesn't work. So we've got to, in our mindsets, stop thinking that somehow we can do it all ourselves or that it's all on us. It's only through receiving support. It's only through allowing ourselves to receive support that we grow. And so I just want to say thank you from my heart to yours for being here today, because I'm very honored that I'm invited to share with you some of the things that have helped me. And I really, my fondest and deepest desire is that we support each other as we grow, right? That we really, as a community, create amazing shift for so many people who don't have access. And it starts with this piece. It starts with having the mindset that we can do more than we think we can, and that we only can do more than we think we can if we allow ourselves to be supported and don't try to think that we're going to figure it all out on our own, because we just don't, we're doing the best we can. So the second area that I give you as an opportunity to focus on, and when I'm saying that these 5 areas of focus, these are 5 areas where I feel like every human being needs systems in their lives. You need daily systems about how to keep yourself on track in these areas. So for me, my mindset focus, just to kind of go back to that one, the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is a gratitude practice. I have a whole training that I do with clients privately, and I'm happy to help any of you individually around this, called the Circle of Life. And I know that in the business arena, when we are helping people develop companies, there's the focus on their vision and the mission and the core values of an organization. But a lot of times we don't spend the time to go back and decide, what does that look like for us as a human? Our personal mission, our personal vision, and our core values. And where the sweet spot is in life when we're going to make money is when we actually have an opportunity to work in an arena where our personal core values really match our professional expression. And when that happens, I promise you, the money is the easy part. So when you're building a company, you've got a lot of things to learn to focus on. And when you're building your own life, you've got to learn about money. I never want to have people come to me just to learn how to make money. I'm always like, oh, I don't want to teach you about the money. But I do know that my personal vision is a world where we break cycles of poverty by healing the poverty consciousness. And the only way I know to meet you around your poverty consciousness, any place that you feel like you're not enough, any place that you feel scarce, is to really give you the tools so that you can be fully supported. Because money is simply, it's just a result of actions. It's a form of energy that comes to us and through us in direct relationship to the actions we take. So you need to learn the actions that have money working for you. We give our power away to money. We make money mean something, and it's simply not that. It's simply an energy exchange. So if that's an area I can support you, I have lots of free trainings. Please reach out. Just make a note. And when it comes to the end, let me know, and I'll send you free stuff. I've got lots of good trainings on money. And the June event, Money, Marketing, and Sales Secrets for Women, is a great place to come. So mark those dates down of June 9th to the 11th. All right, so membership. What do I mean by membership? Membership is quite simply this. We tend to think of, ourselves like no man is an island, no woman's an island. We start to look at what's possible for us. It only happens when we start to see where we are in relationship to other human beings, right? So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're kind of in the survival mode. You don't get to self-actualization without learning to be related to other humans. And for some of us that grew up with painful childhoods, or feeling like we weren't wanted, or, that we didn't belong, membership with other humans can be a little challenging sometimes. So it's an opportunity when we deepen this and we focus this area to practice. And I talk about this actually in Stop the Spinning, in the first book, if you decide to grab a copy of that. I had to repattern how I relate to humans. I'm extremely connected to humans now, but I wasn't for so many years. I was so isolated, and I had to practice being kind. And so I talk about this kind of a silly thing, but I remember like going to the grocery store and just like forcing myself to say nice things to people. I know that sounds really funny, but just saying to somebody like, gosh, that color looks great on you, right? or having, you know, being at work and saying to a peer, I'm really glad to see you today. I mean, just little things, but I had to teach myself to be in the practice of kindness, right? Because I hadn't experienced kindness as a child. I didn't have role models for kindness in my life. And we didn't have a family situation where we ever were around other people. We were always isolated because the world is a very scary place for my family, for my parents, my mom and my step-parents, stepfathers. So, you know, I had to learn this. And what I started to realize is that as I started to travel the world, and I know some of you have traveled all over the world as well, we're so much more alike than we are different. The world is a very safe place. It's not a scary place. It's a generous, loving place. And we as humans are all part of a big family. So that's really my belief system. And I think it's a place that's worth focusing on. It's a place that's worth improving if you're looking for places to focus on this year. So I encourage you to consider that. Consider your relationships and look at it kind of like a circle, right? You're looking at your home, your family, maybe your lover, your child, your children, and you kind of look at your parents. It grows and it grows and it grows, and where you work and where you spend time in your community. But the more you can really get connected to that, the greater life becomes. So the next area of focus I want you to think about is your time. My most favorite, I don't know why I put it down as number 4. It should always be number 1 in my life. But, you know, I want you to be thinking about how you spend your minutes. I'm going to give you a link to my calendar, and it's for a 20-minute call with me. I'm really particular about my time, and I know that as I've grown in my own leadership, it's one of the places where it's a constant opportunity to continue to expand. And it's kind of a fascinating thing because the more successful I've gotten in mindset and community and relatedness and allowing myself to be supported, the more finances have come in and the more free time I have, which is kind of a fascinating thing because in the days when I was struggling all the time and never had enough money, I never had enough time. So there's a relationship where those two things are very integrated. And when you start being uber protective of your time and hyper vigilant about where you spend your time, and you only do the activities that are directly and in proportion and connected, that's not the right word, so directly related to the results that you're going to tell yourself you want to get today, you're going to see how fast and easy it becomes. And so it's really a shift from a place of time being scarce to time being expansive. And yet, the flip side of that coin is that none of us really know how much time we get. It's the one thing I haven't been able to figure out how to make more of, other than being really protective of not doing activities that don't line up with the core values that I'm going to share with you today. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of? Okay, beautiful. I'm getting some nods because I can see some of your beautiful faces. All right. And then the 5th area of focus that I encourage you to consider when we're looking at, you know, your formula for success. These are all areas that I'm giving you as possibilities, and you can give me whatever it is that you want, but they're probably going to fall somewhere in these categories. 5th area is your message. You know, your message would be your life purpose. You know, who are you here to be, and who are you divinely created to be of service to? And I believe that that's the highest and best gift we can ever have as human beings, is to be of service to other human beings. It's the greatest gift because it's a place of total abundance. And you can think about this. Let's see if I can stop sharing for a second and go back to my camera. Can you guys see me? Could you see me when I was sharing? Could you see my little screen? Okay, cool. Well, I'm back. Can you see me now? Hi. Hi, Lisa. So, you know, one of the things that I can say is that what I know to be true is that this whole thing of being of service to someone else, there's a place of being of service where we're not enough and we're trying to be good enough. That's a totally different thing than what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about of this highest level of gift as a human being is that you're in a place where you actually have more than enough and you're giving from the overflow, which is why I really want you to all consider a place of where you're looking at your mindset and cultivating that. We're going to talk about mindset. I want you to be cultivating your self-care. I want you to be thinking about, again, how do I fill up my well so much that just by the beingness of who I am when I show up in the world, is making a contribution, right? So when I talk about your message and your purpose, those of us that are business owners, we're like, okay, I have this purpose and my business is the way of making that happen. Not necessarily. And I'll say that only because I've had 9 companies. So the way that my purpose was tied in when I was a wench is a little different than my purpose as an author and a speaker. But who you're being actually shows up and emanates from you so much more than what you're saying. With me? Yeah, so it's not so much about what you're writing or necessarily what your business is doing, because your business as an entity, if you work with us in the business perspective, your business, one of the greatest gifts I can give you as a very successful business owner is to teach you how to own a business, not be self-employed, right? Too many of my women are working way too hard. They're wearing all the hats. Our training this morning was all on team, and I'll share that with you guys as we move along on other trainings if you're interested. But when you build a company, the company itself has a purpose. It actually can be an expansion of your personal purpose, but it's not the same thing as you living your own purpose. With me? Kind of, sort of? Yep. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to get back to my screen then. I just wanted to say hi to you. I wanted to see how it would work if I flip back and forth. All right, so come back to me. All right, so with each of the areas, so right now I want you to choose an area. Just choose one for the sake of this conversation. Choose an area that we went through that you want to focus on for this call. All right, so is it mindset? Is it money? Is it membership? Is it minutes? Is it message? If you're, if you're working on your business, if you're here just strictly like, I want to set a goal with my company, you can shift these. You can make it, your mindset would be your leadership of your company. Your money would be the finance of your company. You're generating more revenue. The membership would be, building your team or reaching more clients. Minutes would be operations, tuning up the operations of your company. And then your message would really be your sales and marketing division. All right, I know I went through that fast, but it's really the 5 areas of focus are really the same. There's systems that we teach. I want you to really look at them from a personal perspective first, because what you do in business may change. I don't know for sure, but it could. All right, so for each of the area, when you look at the area you want to focus on right now, I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you want to create? I know this sounds silly. I know it sounds simple, but you have to know what you want, and you have to know what you're asking for in order for the universe, God, source, all that is divine to bring it to you. If you're not specific, right, there's a thing called SMART goals. And again, some of you who are super smart, way smarter than I am, could tell me exactly what it stands for, but I think it's specific, measurable, maybe achievable. I need your help, Rebecca. What the R stands for, realistic, I think, and timely, right? So SMART goals. There's these things about like what it is. Let me see, somebody typed it for me. You guys are so good to me. Hang on, let's see if they'll let me go to chat. Actionable, thank you. Specific, thank you. All right, so Husna got it for me. Measurable, all right, thank you so much. All right, good, I'm gonna close it down. So yeah, so that's the piece. So we've got to have this, we've got to know what we're asking for, right? It doesn't sound that crazy. Now, when you think about the different distinctions, if you're looking for, you want more time freedom, or you want more emotional freedom, or you want more financial freedom, you've got to write it out. You've got to write down what it is that you want to create, and you've got to have kind of the bigger picture of what it is, rather than just like, oh, I wish I had. I wish I had more time is almost like a message to the universe. I don't have enough time, so I'm not enough, and you're going to get more of the same thing. That's not going to work, okay? First is, what do you want? The second is, why do you want it? It's a funny game that we play sometimes with people, where we ask them, if you won the big Mac Daddy lottery, if you won the bazillion lottery, right? Like you're richer than Oprah, and you have more money than you could ever spend, and you've paid off everything, you bought everybody you love a house, and you've drilled wells in Africa, then what? Right? I want you to think about this. There's something about this law that comes through where we get what we need. There's always sufficiency. There's always more than enough when we actually start to understand we are more than enough. But I want you to get clear about this and take a moment to write it down for yourself. What is it that you want to create? Why is it that you want to create it? What's kind of the bigger why? And if you can stay in that, that's what gives you the passion, right? My first brand when I started speaking was Powered with Passion. And we started getting spammed by all these XXX sites. So it was kind of a silly thing. But it was, people say to me, how do you do so much? Do you never sleep? I'm like, no, I love to sleep. I sleep a lot. But I wanted to let people know that the passion comes from living inside of your why. The next thing I'd say to you is, who must you be in order for this to happen? Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by this is, you're asking for a new breakthrough. You're asking for a new thing in your life, or a new level of success in your business, or a new level of health or relationship success, or a new level of income generation, or a new level of abundance. Who must you be in order for this to happen is an important place for you to really write down. You may or may not even know the answer to the question, but I want you to be thinking about it, because you take yourself wherever you go. And when we do money trainings and we try to help people with their finances, one of the things that I know is that it's a fascinating adventure for me. And I'll give you two little stories. One is when I have a client who has a business that's at $2 million and they are struggling to get by. I mean, they literally tell me, I can't afford to do this, I can't afford to do that. It lives in their conversation, right? So it's an interesting thing. Here, let me take a drink of water. That we take ourselves wherever we go and we can play the same game with more zeros. Another is that I'll tell you, I had a client who hired me, and in my invitation for her and I to work together to co-create, she said to me, I'm not sure I can afford you. I only have $500,000 in the bank. And I'm thinking, I don't have $500,000 in the bank at the time. I was like, that's a fascinating thing. But it was authentic for her, right? So the amount of scarcity. So here's this woman who's single and lonely and wants to have a business and is terrified and is actually really, and she's doing great now, by the way. She's fantastic because we did work together. But she, her belief is that somehow maybe there's not enough. I spent almost an entire year working on breaking through this belief system so that she could be the leader that she has become, that she actually always already was. But it's not this thing with the money, right? We make money, we give our power to money. My friend DC Cordova, she Skyped in from China when we did Limitless Women this year. She says, have your love life be exciting, have your money life be boring. I just have to throw that in because it's such a good one, right? So if you're going to be your highest version, if you're going to be your $100,000 version of yourself, if you're going to be your $500,000 version of yourself, if you're going to be your $1 million version of yourself, your whatever the number is, right? Because here's the thing, guys. When we do financial training and we get really clear about what your number is, first of all, most of you don't know what your number is, and I'm not trying to be condescending. You just haven't thought about it, okay? You haven't had training on how to determine your number. But when you actually get clear on your number, it's fascinating how the number is not quite as big as you think it needs to be, right? What you need to actually live really, really, really well and have full financial freedom is actually much less than what you think. So who must you be in order for this to happen is more around your daily practice. What version of you? So if you actually had full financial freedom, full time freedom, full emotional freedom, where would you be living? What time would you get up in the morning? What would you be eating? Who would you be hanging out with? I think that's one of my next questions. I want you to think about this because you move yourself into this way of being. All the goals that you have for yourself in any arena, and I promise you this because I can tell you that I don't live the life of my dreams. I live a life I never dreamed of, and I am just getting started. And all the things that I could not even fathom as a child or a young woman are actually very simple for me today. And I still have more to do, right? So I want you to think about this, not because it's the Laura show, but I want you to look at your own life and look backwards, if you would, with me, in a place of immense gratitude for where you've come from. I know some of you, and I know some of your stories are very, very painful. And you are strong, and you are brilliant and amazing. And you've actually overcome things that are so big, and yet you've forgotten them, or you've made them small. So when you're looking ahead and you're saying, oh my gosh, this thing I want to create is so insurmountable, it's only because you just don't remember how incredible you are and how much you've actually already done. So who you spend time with, I hope, is me. You're here right now. We don't take it too damn seriously, for God's sake. But, think about who you spend time with because it matters, my friend. It totally matters. If you are, God bless our families and God bless the people that helped us when we got to the point where we are now. But if you are hanging out with people that are negative, if you're hanging out with people that are pulling you down, or if you're hanging out with anybody who tells you you can't do it, you got to have some boundaries. I'm not saying you disown them. I'm not saying you can't be compassionate. They are doing the best they can with what they understand. And I know that some of the most Some of the most painful things that I heard as a child were said by people who were really trying to protect me, because they were so afraid that I would, that it'd be over, right? If I actually went for it, if I actually went for the things I was going to go for, that I would just die and they would miss me. So just understand that the people who are around you, who love you, who are saying it can't be done, or who are holding you back or negative, please have compassion for them, and you be a bigger person and spend time with us, lifting you up, you lifting us up, and us supporting one another. And that's really what this work is all about, because it's the only way, again, if we share resources. So if you haven't been to one of my live events, sorry, this is going to sound like a plug, but it's really not. Yes, it is. It is, and it's not. You don't have to come. But if you want to come, why people come back again and again is, number one, I don't sell tickets. That's not where I make my money in my company. I spend a lot of money putting on live events, and we create this amazing, juicy, delicious environment that's very safe for women who are leaders to come together and share resources. There are people who come through, obviously, that become clients of mine. I invite you to work with me anytime that it works for you. But what's more important is, how do we work with each other? How do we support one another? How do we actually share resources? And that's where you've got to spend your time. You've got to schedule time in your schedule, be it with our community or other communities, where you are being uplifted, where you are getting your well-filled and you're feeling really inspired. And doing what? Working on moving towards your goals. Not bitching and moaning, not complaining, not looking at stuff that's not working, but completely the opposite. Being in a place where you actually are expanded. I mean, I can tell you that when Scott and I got married 10 weeks after our first date, and I wrote into our wedding, in my part of the wedding vows, I promise to challenge you always. And he said, who in the world says that in their wedding vows? And I said, well, I feel like in my first relationship, not to go too much into that, but that I wasn't challenged and he wasn't challenged. We're growing together. And I want, my husband's a racehorse. I want to be a racehorse with him. I want to be like galloping and running and like living life full out, not atrophying. I think that's a sad way to die. So what will you be doing? I want you to be with people who stretch you and expand you if that turns you on. And chances are, if you're still on this call and I haven't bored you with the stuff I'm telling you already, my true AAA sister, you are doing it with me and you want to be expanded. All right, so you want to know the secret to all success. Yes? I think you do. Somebody give me a thumbs up because I can see some of you. Yes, okay. Secret to all success. What's she got in her hand? A magnifying glass. Why? Because it helps us to focus. The number one reason why people fail in life to reach the goals that they have is they don't have a plan. Okay? You're taking time right now to look at it. The number two reason why people fail to achieve the goals they want is they don't stick to the plan. That's courtesy of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you're an entrepreneur, you probably read that book because it's kind of a Bible for us. If you haven't read it, read it. It's a great book, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, because it'll teach you a lot about mindset and money. All right, I'm going to pause right here because there's like 6 things in chat. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything really important. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, bless you. Thank you, thank you. All right. Oh, and look at you, Rebecca. You're such an angel. Specific. She's elaborated. So let's go back to the SMART goals because this is actually really good. So S, specific, significant, stretching. M, measurable, meaningful, motivational. I like that. I haven't heard that before. A, agreed upon, attainable, achievable, acceptable, action-oriented. Action I'd heard. Agreed upon I really, really like. I'd heard achievable. R, realistic I'd heard. Relevant, reasonable. No, not reasonable. Let's not be reasonable. No, I'm kidding. Rewarding I like. Results-oriented I like a lot too, okay? T, time-based, time-bound, timely, tangible, and trackable. Can you guys see that? Can you see that Zoom chat on my screen right now when I pulled it up? Okay, good. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's great. That's awesome, tossome, and helpful. And SMART goals, you're such a leader. All right, great. You can't take the credit. I just did a lot of research. I knew you would have. That's why I said, I bet Rebecca knows what you're doing here. All right, great. All right, so focus on what we're going to create next. Okay, so you've got kind of the bigger scope of where are the areas that I want to focus on, right? This is one thing we're talking about. Okay, let me come back and just elaborate here for real quick before I kind of go into. So we're looking at where are the areas we want to focus on. And then we're looking at what are the questions we want to ask for each one of those areas. Hopefully you've been able to write some of this down, and I'll give you the slides if you want them. But it's a process, right? There's kind of this process. And when I said to you in my email, let me share with you my formula for success, or I said it on Facebook, let me share with you, this is it. Every time I reach any kind of goal in my life, it's because I have taken consistent recurring actions that led me to the result that I wanted. But I couldn't get the result that I wanted if I didn't have clarity on the result, right? So we have these cute little t-shirts, I'm not wearing one today, that say money loves clarity. There's always this big thing about money, money, money. If we can teach you that money is actually very simple when you have the correct systems in place and you have clarity and you follow the steps and the actions to get you there, financial independence is not that difficult. Okay, there's things way harder, right? Healthy relationships. It requires, putting pennies in the bank. My husband and I just went to yoga together. It was so fun because he's really not a yogi, but he likes it when I go with him sometimes. So like the class we lay on the floor, that's his favorite class. But I can get him to go. It's a way for us to put a deposit into our relationship. You get the idea? Like just really say, hey, you matter to me. I'm completely out of my mind, humbled and honored that all three of our adult children were home over the holidays. I mean, that's just insanely delicious to me because I don't take that for granted. I don't expect that from them. It's their contribution to our family and it's their choice, right? Because they're adults. Your health and wellness. I think that there's a place that we can really see what happens when we're healthy. I got super sick last year. This sounds like a silly thing when I say it. I said this morning, I've never had bronchitis before. I've never been sick, I don't think, more than a couple of days my entire life. And I'm very grateful for that. I don't take it for granted because I'm really, really, I'm on it about my health and what I eat and my exercise routine, because I know that without the energy that comes from having a healthy body, I can't do my work. I can't be the leader that I'm here to be. And I let myself slide. I really did. Our house flooded twice. There's no excuse, but our house flooded twice in 6 months. I came back from Ecuador, where I was in the rainforest with Rebecca and several other women. It was like a dozen women. We were down there doing a project. And I came back and our house was trashed. And so I moved and then we had an event and I got completely out of taking care of myself and my routine and I got bronchitis. And I was sick for almost 5 weeks. So I got the message. I kept praying, God, please show me the message quickly. I don't want to have to keep doing this for a long time. But what I realized is that I've had this 50 years of incredible health because it was around the actions and the daily practice. So when I'm telling you the formula for success around health, around relationship, around revenue, around growing a company, it's this place of what are the daily actions. It's not about sit down and make a plan once a year. I think it's very important that we do this work and we get clear and we write it out. But my big secret for success for you is going to be this piece, which is like, what are the daily activities? So did you guys get a calendar in your thank you letter? If you didn't, I'll send it to you because we kind of thought about it the last minute, but I want to make sure you all have this. This is a year at a glance calendar. I am crazy about my calendar. I mean, I live, eat, breathe. I'm going to show you my Google Calendar too. I'm going to share my screen with you. I live, eat, breathe. Everything that I do is in that calendar and my entire team is in that calendar. It's all about the daily practices. It's all about where you're focusing and where you're spending your time and any result that you want to achieve. And I say that, and it sounds a little grand. So like not saying necessarily any result. I haven't run a marathon lately, so I don't really know how that goes, but I have a feeling that you have to do the steps to get there, right? Like those of you who have run marathons where it's like a daily practice, you can just like wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to go do it. I really think that we are capable of achieving so much more than what we know. And if we can get it broken down into bite-sized pieces, which is I'm going to go down to the formula with you, you're going to see that again, those are the things, what can I do every day? It's not difficult to achieve amazing, amazing things. And, and you're all obviously capable of doing it. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And hopefully this is not too annoying hopping back and forth, but I want to see you sometimes. So, all right, so let's go now to number one, get clear on the big vision, right? So that's what I was saying, like all those questions I had, choose the area you want to focus on, get clear on the big vision. What is it that you want? That's why those 5 questions were. Get clear, all right? The next is, how do you know you've made it, right? So let's say that you've got some kind of big goal and you know you've got this going on. Have you figured out what would be the, kind of skipping into 3, how would you actually know? You've got this big goal for what you want to achieve, either in health, wellness, love, money. how will you actually know? So I want you to write that out. Like, what would actually be the measurable results? We're doing the SMART results. What would actually, would it be that you are putting on a size, 8 dress and it feels fantastic? Like, write it out. Would it be that you could run a mile if you're a person who's into, running the marathon? Would it be that you opened up your bank statement and there was, $10,000 there in your savings account? You'd actually made it. Would it be that you have a business and now your business has 50 clients? I want you to actually, you've got to have some kind of idea for what that is. And I want it to be tied to, again, going back to the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Okay. Number 3 on this formula for success is the resources. I talked a lot about in the beginning about your mindset and how much we don't allow ourselves to be supported. And when we actually realize that the only way we're going to get to our big goals and our big visions is allowing ourselves to be supported, I want you to make a list of who you already know and what you already have for resources. I think this is something that gets skipped over in, business planning and year-end goal planning, things like that, is what about your resources? What about the resources that you actually already have in place? And I can tell you that one of my resources that's kind of an amazing thing for me when I actually look at it is that I'm an incredible student. I screwed up so many things over the years, but I actually also, I love to learn. And I've learned, one of the things I've learned, thanks to, good counseling and generous love on a spiritual standpoint, is that I don't have to always make myself wrong. One of our clients said this morning that she had a year of, what did she call it? It was so cute. Failed experiments, right? Like she had all these failed experiments. It was a good way to put it. You've got to try new things and you're not going to hit it out of the park every time. But when you actually do have something that doesn't work, one of the things I consider a superpower of my own, what I have is the ability to take and learn from things that don't work very quickly and make a shift. I don't wallow in it. I don't make myself wrong about it anymore because I messed it up in the past. And I know how to ask for help. I really do know how to ask for help. And that was something that I had to learn. It's not something that I grew up knowing how to do. Okay. So what we do with the big vision is we're going to break it down into milestones, the big steps that get you there, right? So let's say, and I'll just use my business as an example. If we want to add 30 new clients this year, I'm just using a number. We actually want to add 50 new clients. So we're going to add 50 new clients each year. And we know that in the year that most of our clients come from a live event. They come to the live event. We love on them. We feed them amazing value. And we get the chance to earn their business, right? Because we work with them and we show them what we can do. And they get so much value out of being with us for a couple of days that, hey, it may make sense to do a year. So in the live event, if we know we have 3 live events each year, that's a big step. A big step for in milestones is actually hosting those productions, right? And in each of those, we have a number of clients that we want to enroll so that we get to the end of the year. 50 clients is actually a fairly easy thing for us to look at because at each event, there's 3 of them. If we take, the one in the spring and the fall, Path to Freedom and Limitless Women, we generally can enroll 20 people at each of those events. And then the one in June is a smaller event. We haven't done it for a year or 2. About 2 years we haven't done it. So if we enroll 10 people there, so we enroll 20 in each and then 10 in the summer, there's our 50 people. Now, that's not the only resource we have for enrolling clients. I'm just giving it to you in the context of a business development. But I want you to look at in your own arena, whichever area it is, if you know that there's a savings plan that you're trying to look at, or you're wanting to buy a house, what is it that you need to do? What are the big steps you need to do to get you to your down payment? What kind of research do you need to be doing? I don't know which goals you guys have set out, and I'm happy to get to that when we get into the questions, but that's really what the milestones are. All right. And then what we do is we take the milestones, we break them into tiny tasks, right? So for us to host an event, that's one of our milestones each year, that we plan backwards around that. And I'll show you on my calendar what that looks like. We literally have a project in our project management software that has over 100 tasks. I mean, I can't even tell you exactly how many it is, but we have literally a project management software that we use specifically for events because it's one of our biggest revenue drivers for our company. And there's so many moving pieces, and we start planning more than 2 months in advance. We actually plan, in some ways, a year in advance, right? So when I'm hosting Limitless Women this year. We'll be choosing the date for next year. But all the tasks are written out and they're all calendared. And that's the biggest piece that I can teach you is calendaring everything has accountability kick in, and it's how you get things done. And I don't have any to-do lists, my friends. People are always a little surprised by that. I don't do tasks list. I don't want to keep myself one more thing to do because my life, if I'm doing it, it's on my calendar. Everything that I do, almost literally almost everything I do is written in a calendar. And now that I live in Southern California, part of the year, like driving is in my calendar because, in Sedona, it wasn't an issue, right? Unless I was traveling, but literally if I'm driving to the airport, I know I have to allocate that time because there's traffic here, right? And so I don't travel as much now that I live here, thank goodness. But it is, everything, every yoga class, everything. So let me actually, on that note, there's my call calendar. If you want to write that down, actually, because I'm going to hop off of this real quick with the slides. But if you go to bit.ly.com, bit.ly.com / Laura Gisborne, my name, 20-minute call, but it's MIN, 20-min call. That'll put you right into my calendar. So if there's anything I can help you with, I'll invite you again. But if you want to reach me there, or you can reach me via email at laura@lauragisborne.com. So that's the end of my little slideshow. Let's see if we can figure out how to move all these little boxes around. Stop sharing and get back to you guys. So let me look and see. Somebody has said, what if you don't have, let me see all of the chats here because I want to make sure I get them all. Okay, so I got after SMART goals, I got some long things here. Okay, cool. So I would love the calendar. I have a monthly calendar. I could never find it. Yeah, right. Big enough. Me too. So the piece with the calendar, Cheryl, is that it is this calendar, if you can see it, is specifically for, let me see if I can pull it up in here too so you can see it. Let me pull it up in two places. It's specifically for your daily tasks that have to do, this is a marketing calendar, so it's specifically for daily tasks that you have that are related to generating revenue, right? And that's, again, the place that I get asked more than anything is how do I make money and how do I get this going? So let me put this back up here so you can see it. Minimize, close, get back to sharing my screen. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to make this a little more interesting than just looking at a PowerPoint, but I want to make sure you can see success steps. Where are you? Superpowers. Okay, so God bless you. So we print this on an 11 by 17 cardstock, and I can send you the PDF. And we just send it to Staples or Office Max. It's like $2 on cardstock, $1 on regular paper. But we print these out, and when I show you mine, I'm showing you kind of at a glance. And again, I'm happy to send this to you. Okay, so when I show you mine, it's actually what I do is I color coordinate and we write out everything that we're going to do that it has to do with business. And at this point, you can see like January, February, I have activities almost every single day that are related to marketing our business, right? So you're starting to see all those kind of written out. As we move through the end of the year, you'll start to see it. And the things are color coordinated. So we have our live events. Legacy Leaders is our year-long program, and we meet 4 times a year. So you're going to see that's kind of the fulfillment for them. And Accelerate Your Business is a 12-week course that I teach once per year. It's a 90-day intensive working with me. It's really inexpensive, and I do live calls every week for 12 weeks. That leads up to Limitless Women is our live event in April, Money Marketing Sales Secrets in June, and then the Path to Freedom in October. So you can kind of see these are the milestones. I can look at them. And what we do is all kind of like the marketing activity leads into that piece. So I don't know if that's helpful for you or not, but I wanted to kind of show you. I'll also share with you my Google Calendar, which is where all of these things are actually in the Google. We can put a lot more in the Google Calendar, and our entire team has access to it. So I'll show you that in a second, but I just want to get this. All right, so somebody has to go. Okay, have fun. It was good to be with you. And let's see. Yeah, you guys, yeah, I'm sorry I told you it was kind of an hour here, but all right, but somebody asked a question, what if you truly don't have cash flow to hire support? I've tried using those I already know by offering payment and barter, but it seems like I'm chasing people down all the time, kind of sticky situations, and you need support to grow. So I would love to have a conversation with you. and I'll show you exactly how you can find support. And in the meantime, what I would highly recommend is if you haven't used Fiverr, I don't know if you know about Fiverr, but Fiverr, it's Fiv, let me type it for you. You can get amazing things done on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, for $5. And there's never been a time like now in this current gig economy for us to make money. So we're talking to companies about building teams and the incredible resources that are available for you by using virtual folks to help you out. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing. So money should not get in the way. And then somebody has, Gigi here, take advantage of free resources available, calls like this and other experts. Yeah, so SCORE. So here's the piece. And again, I'd love to have a conversation with you about this. You do want to take advantage of these free resources, but there's also a place where you're going to get to a place in your business where you can't do any more with the free stuff, right? Because you can get a lot of great support from this perspective. And if you're an implementer and you get it done, it's great. What happens with the challenge, why the number one secret to success is focus, is that there's so much noise out there that you don't really know where to focus. And you've got to really be in action with your own personal plans. So remember what I said, the most important thing you can do is be hyper vigilant of your time. I only want you working on activities that move you closer to the goal. So if you have a goal of, and I can show you, actually it's kind of a funny thing. I was looking at this, we haven't put this in the spreadsheet, we're getting ready to. So when we actually look at our quarter, because we work in quarters in my company all the time. So we're looking at our revenue streams, right? We're looking at what are the exact revenue, this will go to an Excel sheet next week. But what are the revenue streams? Where are the opportunities to increase revenue? And we can look and we can track. We say like, we look at, we're going to have a $500,000 year. That's kind of I don't say it's an easy year for us, but that's kind of where we are in this company right now. And we look at it and say, okay, like how many retreats do we need to do? How many clients do we need to bring in? What are the clients that are making payments? Some people are paying in full. What are the ticket sales for, events when people pay a lunch fee? Because we just take that and turn around and pay it back to the hotel, but that's revenue coming through the company. Sponsorships, we have sponsorship payments that come in, and then Accelerate. People join our group program. It's really low cost, but we do more volume there. You look at how do you break out the different pieces in the revenue stream of the company. Those kind of things have to be done selectively. And what I find, honestly, is that people that are successful invest in themselves. There's just no shortcut around it. I wish that I could find a way to tell you that. The first year that I started this company, I did $57,000 in revenue. I was doing everything myself. I was literally trying to create my own website. And you can see I can't do very well with the PowerPoint. You can imagine what my website looked like. And I just, I was trying to do it on nights and weekends. And we own multiple other companies. I didn't want to take away from my home, my family. I was worried. My husband wasn't excited about it. There was a lot of things going on. And I really had to decide whether I was going to do this as a business, whether I was going to just do it as a hobby, or if I was going to dabble at it, or I was going to get serious about what I was here to do, which was to really lead women and change the world. And so I said, okay, I did $57,000 in sales. This year I need help. In 2012, I spent $30,000 on coaching. I did not have it. I paid as I went. They let me make payments. My revenue went from $57,000 in 2011 to $250,000 in 2012. And it's what it is. You get the systems in place, you invest in yourself, you find the money, you don't buy things you can't really afford. I could do that because I knew that I had revenue coming in. I knew how to sell. I knew if I could get clarity and get focused and get some good coaching on what I needed, that I could increase my revenue, and I did. And I knew enough about who I was here to serve, what I was here to do, and how I could help them from my life experience of having all these other companies. So I think what you've got to do is get somebody to mentor you, not a friend who doesn't have money. Here's something to know. Don't take relationship advice from people that don't have a good relationship. Please don't take money advice from a person who doesn't have money. Do not take business advice from somebody who's had one business and thinks that they know it all. Okay? Be really particular. Be protective of yourself. You deserve this. Your time is highly valuable. Make sure you're really careful about who it is that you're working with. Yeah. So an accountability buddy group, again, write to me, call me. I'm so happy to get you set up with that. I think that came from Deb. You're going to be an Accelerate, and you're going to have that right now. All right, sweetie, so that's coming for you. The best ways to scale your company, or you better off starting with 1099s or employees. I think, again, in this day and age, I would only, Lisa, go with 1099s until you have enough infrastructure, and I don't know what your revenue is at this point, because I know you've been in business for a while, to bring on employees. There's a difference in having an employee where you've got a commitment to time, insurance, vacation pay, all kinds of things like that. I don't know if you're there yet, but I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Just schedule some time with me. For most of us, 1099s are the way to go. Okay, who else has a question or an area of focus that they would like to have help with as far as like setting up a goal or looking at milestones or any of the things that we talked about today that you might need help on? If you do, let me know. If you want to, you can unmute yourself. If you, oh, I guess I have to unmute you, don't I? Unmute all. Okay, perfect. Okay, you're unmuted. So you can either type to me or, you know, turn your screen on and say hi and tell me how I can help you. There we go. Jen, I'm glad that it was great. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or anything else I can help you with?
Laura?
Yes.
This is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I really want to tell you how much I appreciate all that you've done. One of the things that Morgan, if you'll watch him please real quick, is really taking this seriously. And I noticed with the doula stuff, it wasn't working as well as I wanted, so I needed to add value and be able to have a quicker turnover and focus on my numbers.
Yep.
And making sure that I get the numbers straight. And that's new for me. Making, like you were saying, okay, you made so much money this year, and to really look at it that way, that this company's got to make money, how much it's got to make, and so that's my new experience. So with the bookkeeper and some of the other people that you need to grow with and hire, how do you know who's a good person for that? And is there somebody within our circle that has a skill set?
Yes. So the answer is, so several things. Please schedule a call with me, because this morning's call, we did a whole training on org chart and roles and responsibilities and how to hire that I think will be super helpful for you. And I'm happy to share that information with you right away. And then the other and yes, we actually have a client in our community who has a bookkeeping service who would be great to help you.
Okay.
To get started with that. Yep. And then as far as monetization, yes, I agree with you 100 million%. And the challenge always becomes, Carol, for all of us, I know Carol because we're friends and worked together in the past, we currently work together, is focus, right? Like focusing on the right activities. There's so many distractions that are available.
Exactly. Yes.
That's always the biggest challenge, right? And for all of us, sweetie, not just you. I'm not just saying that at you. I'm saying it with you, right? Like really knowing, and that's a place to use me. So let's schedule some time this week.
Okay.
You know, let's schedule time this week and let's get on the calendar, because I gave you the link. So it's bit.ly.com/Laura Gisborne 20-minute call.
Okay.
I'll put it back up on the screen again so you guys can see it in case anybody else wants to schedule time. But it's really, that's the thing to do. Schedule time with me, because I can help you much more effectively when we're one-on-one.
Yes.
Right? So let me close this.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's my pleasure always. And then, you know, and then I can give you some specifics to get after.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure, honey. My pleasure. All right, cool. So there's the bit.ly. And then let's see what else we had in chat. Hosna, did you say that you had a question, sweetie?
Yeah, I do. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you, but you can't see me right now, right? Let me stop sharing. Okay, perfect. Hi.
Okay, hi. Hello. I'm from Berlin, so it's pretty late here, but I stayed up.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks so much for everything, Laura. I've been following you for a couple of years. I'm in the middle of writing my doctoral dissertation, so that's my really big commitment right now. And I won't start anything new until I'm done. But I've got this whole year mapped out, and I'm blocking October for you. I've been saving money to finally go to one of your events, Path to Freedom, I think, in October. So my question is, not to boast, but I think I've got all the focus, all the minutes, everything mastered. I've got a little bit of a problem with mindset. Mm-hmm. And that's not the common where I don't think I can do it, but it's the reverse. I'm afraid of that. I know I'm going to make it, but it's really scaring me, because I'm like I write in one of my fears. You know, I was doing this a few days of kind of looking into myself, what I want and how to get it. I'm really clear about my path. Although 2016 I've lost a mom and a partner, but so pretty much the worst has happened, at this point in my life. But I'm afraid of huge successes. I'm afraid of unstoppable greatness. It's scaring me, like when I think of how great I could be, it's like, no, I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, no, not arrogance, or not even.
No, I get it. It doesn't sound arrogant.
I'm really afraid, of the people, of how my life's going to change. People I love, I might lose. I might. Yeah. You get my point. But
I do.
Yeah.
So may I offer you some feedback?
Sure.
Okay, darling. So first of all, I'm very sorry to hear about your loss. And one of the things that's important that I would love to share with you is not to skip over this, because grief is a process. And those of us that are high achievers, we tend to just move through, and we're okay, we're going to deal with it, and we're going to be okay. So give yourself some space is my request, my invitation. Give yourself some space for your feelings, because they matter. And the deeper empathy that you'll have, Husna, as a leader, by allowing yourself to slow down a little bit and feel the feelings, will be very helpful to the people you're here to lead. Okay. The second thing is, when you have a big purpose and a big calling, and you know that you're on track, the mindset shifts kicks in sometimes of what if you're going to be exactly the same person. You're just going to, again, when I say with the money piece, it's the same game, more zeros. It's you, more of you. It's a deeper, more expanded, more beautiful, more expressed you when you're living in your success. So just know that I'm fascinated to hear. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about what you know about your purpose?
Yeah, I do. I'm doing a health. My background, my academic background is cognitive linguistics. I've always pictured myself being in academia, but I don't think I can help so many people with it being just in my shell sort of. So I do really want to go out into the world. I want to help people heal. I took up a nutrition, integrative nutrition health coaching. I'll graduate in 3 weeks. So I did it with my doctoral dissertation, but I'm taking a career turn, so to speak. But I would also like to use what I've learned from my research in linguistics, cognitive linguistics, about how we conceptualize the world through metaphors.
Yes.
So healing via metaphors. So I'm switching now. My partner was American, so I was with him for a long time. So I'm oscillating between accents now. But I'm currently in England with my family. So anyway, to help people to heal from inside out. Because I think many people have a lot of, everyone has, hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
If you guys are, hang on a second, time out for a second. So if you guys are not talking right now, would you do me a favor? I don't want to mute everybody, so could you mute yourself so they don't get your background noise? Just hit mute so that we can hear Husna. Go ahead, sweetie.
Sorry, Laura, I'm a bit nervous because I'm put in the spot right now. I didn't expect this.
Okay, okay. Here's the piece. Are you able to schedule some one-on-one time with me?
I would really love to. I am writing my third chapter now of my dissertation out of 7, and it's really, pretty much overwhelming. So I'm taking step by step.
Okay.
And I don't want to jump too quickly to what I want to be doing after my PhD, because I don't want to lose focus. It's very important for me.
I completely understand that. So here's the thing that I would request, and that is that you schedule 20 minutes with me. Not for a sales conversation, not for you to move into a business training, but just so that we could have a place where you could have safety and quiet to open up about what your bigger purpose is. And I feel you. And it's very important because your calling as a healer is not going to run away. It's not going to leave you. You can run, but you can't hide. So, you know, I want to support you and lift you up as you step into this.
Thank you. I tried running, but
we all have.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, we'll definitely do. Thank you so much.
And thanks for checking in from Berlin. I so appreciate it. Yeah, it's a pleasure. All right, darling.
Thanks.
All right, so so please schedule with me. And don't, you know, here's the thing. I said this in the very beginning. Oh, Manjot, if you can stay on, I know you want to, I don't see you, Manjot, so I'd love to see your beautiful face if we can. You know, please use me now. Don't use me someday when you get there and you actually feel like you're ready. And if I can use Manjot, can I just use you as an example, my darling, now that we can see your beautiful face. So Manjot connected with me. We have a mutual friend, Priya, who's in Canada, who introduced us, and she went on my website and said, hey, I want to work with you. But she was just getting started and it wasn't time for her to do like a year-long program. So I don't know how many calls we had. I do know, because this is great, because I gave her some free training. It was like 14 hours of training, and she scheduled an hour and did this like every day for 2 weeks and started making money and doing all these great things in her business. I was like, oh my gosh, I was like such a proud mom. When you're ready, really, when I say we have free resources, I'm here for you. Let me support you. If I'm the person who can support you, it's my pleasure. And as we're meant to work, you know, I'm never worried about that. If I don't have time or I'm committed to other projects, I'll say I don't have time. If I'm clearly I have time right now, so I offered to do the call today. So it's my pleasure to speak with you. And nothing makes me happier than to see my beloveds like Manjot become uber successful and blossom and grow and flourish, and so thrilling. So how are you, sweetie? And so you need some question. You had a question, you wrote a question about you'd like some advice on milestones. Can you talk about what your bigger goal is and how I can help?
It was mainly to, and I'm happy to schedule some time with you as well. It was to, on the part where you were talking about milestones, for the bigger goals that I have, it's more the implementing this, and actually even knowing the smaller steps that I need to get into those bigger goals.
Okay, great. Could you give me one big goal?
Okay, so for example, one of the bigger goals would be for me to this year have 40 to 45 new patients.
Excellent, great. And so where are they mostly coming from now?
At the moment, they're coming from referrals.
Perfect. Okay, great. So if the goal is 40, right? And we want to look at how do we break that big number down into little bite-sized stuff, right? So we've got January, we're a weekend, but if we said, okay, we would like to get 4 new clients each month.
Yeah.
Right? And we said like the goal was to get 1 client each week.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of the way you break it down into the ridiculous. Really simple.
Okay.
Each goal, each week would be like kind of like when you're doing your planning for the week, and maybe you have a schedule, and that's something I would recommend for you guys is write that. I haven't shown you my Google Calendar yet, but I will. Is write on your schedule. Every Friday I have a recurring event on my schedule for an hour to plan for the following week.
Okay.
So I actually take time, because Friday is my business development day. I don't take calls on Friday. I mean, I will if it's somebody that really needs to talk, but for the most part, that's a day that I'm not scheduled. If you go to my calendar, it gives you times Monday through Thursday. There's really easy times for me to work. On Friday, I've got that block time where I can say, okay, where do I need to focus for the next week? So if I was looking at, I need to get 1 client each week, what I would probably do in that time then, Jot, is look at which of your existing patients do you have a close relationship with that you could reach out to via email or a telephone call or however Facebook message, because they're pretty, you know, you're young and hip and talking on Facebook, and say, hey, I have an opening in my practice for new patients. Is there anyone that you could introduce me to? And if you did that, and you know, your closing percentage is pretty spectacular, as I remember. So if you said, okay, I need one new client, so I'm going to have the audacity to reach out to 10 people. They could be existing patients. They could be people you've seen one time in the past, and they didn't necessarily come through, but they had a great experience and they felt the essence of your healing. It could be friends. It could be women that you worked with, like the women who had the health club, who had the, you know, the bar classes.
Yeah.
Right? There's all these resources. I think if you just went through your Facebook friends and you reached out to 10 of them each Friday for an hour, 1 per week would not be so impossible.
Okay.
Okay, so schedule the time. It's always a piece where I'm like, the big mystery in the world, with me is the calendar. Write it down and do it.
Mm.
Does that help at all, sweetie?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
And we combine that with the networking and the speaking and you getting out and meeting other people so that it's like gravy. Like you might end up with 90 patients at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. But the milestone requires a focused action, scheduled time on the calendar for you to take action towards generating one patient per week.
Yeah.
That's how I would approach it. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Any other ones you want to go over? You want to schedule some time?
It would be great to schedule some time, actually. Yeah.
Good, because I miss you and I can't wait to talk with you.
I know, I miss you too.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I told everybody on the Legacy Leader call this morning, I'm like, I'm hoping Manjot comes in April. We miss you so much. Yeah, good. And you're in London. What time is it in London right now?
It's 10:30.
Oh my goodness. So Husna, I don't know if you're an hour later or the same time. Yeah. Okay. God bless both of you. Thank you for staying up so late. I so appreciate it. We try to come up with a time that works, but thank you.
Yeah, no, it was a good time.
All right, darling. All right. So good. I look forward to speaking with you. Can't wait to talk with you. All right, darling. So anybody else have pressing questions or would like some support in the milestones? I know, Rebecca, you had written to me about the importance of now, and I would love to have some one-on-one time with you, unless you have anything that you'd like to share publicly now, sweetheart, whatever works for you. Okay.
No, yeah, that's good. I actually just scheduled time with you, so we'll be chatting next Tuesday.
Yeah. And for, so Deborah Lee, I just want to speak to you also, sweetheart, because I'm excited to have you in Accelerate, which is going to start next week. We're going to start calls every week and create a Facebook group. We're going to have more opportunity to connect and get to know the people that are coming to Limitless Women. So we'll have a little more of a conversation there. And then also, I really appreciate what you shared about the first year was intense of your business. What I find for most of us in a new company, and for me, every time I start a new company, it's a new company, right? Is the first year is so much to learn. It's intense and there's a lot going on. And most of us are working another job or another business to keep the money coming in while we're doing this new creation, right? So it is tough. Then the second year is where you actually start to get some clarity. And I feel like you're moving into that place right now where you're awesome and inviting people to work with you. You've got clarity about what it is that you want to do. And now's the time for you to really get some momentum. In year 3 is where I see a business really flying. And most businesses don't make it. It's just sad. The statistics are really pretty scary. So you've got to have support. And I really, appreciate the opportunity to work with each of you to support you with this, because that's the way we all make it, is when we get these resources and we get the breakthrough, because we can't see our own, my friend Tracy says we can't see our own eyebrows, right? It's like somebody else can see it from the outside and help us break it down. And, we all need to have that, myself especially. All right, cool. So let's see if I had any other questions. Anybody else? Love. And can I talk about my 90-day program? Of course. So thanks for asking. I would love to schedule time with you, Lisa, and I can tell you a little bit about it. But basically what I do, if you go to lauragisborne.com/accelerate, I didn't put it in the slides because it's just, how it is. lauragisborne.com/accelerate. Actually, I can type it here, can't I? And then you can see it. Okay, lauragisborne.com. It'll bring you to a page where you can kind of see this program. And once a year I do this program, and I do it for our private clients. I really do it for people that are a year-long program, because it's a little bit of an intensive to kick off the year, where we really focus on absolutely the foundations of every company. And what I find, we literally, I think right now, the most mature business that I'm working with right now has been in business for 30 years. One of our clients has been in business for 30 years. So we have people from 0 to 30 years in business. And there's pieces of like how we change, and I do it every year, and I do it once a year, and I kind of re-record it and go through the the live Q&A with the people who are in the group, because as business is changing, as the gig economy is changing, as there's more opportunities, new resources, every year I do it. So I want to share what we know, everything we've learned. We meet once a week, And it comes with, I think, 2 tickets to, it comes with like $3,000 worth of trainings and bonus and one-on-one time with me as well. And it's a great way to get familiar with with our community and who we are before you come to a live event. So we run it now, and it runs now through April the 7th. We'll have a private meeting for people in the Accelerate program on the Friday of Limitless Women. So we can all get together and have lunch and know each other and have some one-on-one time. So our VIP clients are there, our legacy leader clients are there, and then a few people that are at Accelerate now that are just, it's an incredibly low investment. It's $997 for the whole program, and that includes 2 tickets to Limitless Women. And if you can't make it to Limitless Women, you can use those tickets for Money Marketing and Sales Secrets in June, and that includes your meals and includes everything. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. If you want to make payments, it's just $397, 3 payments, $397 a month. It's all on the website. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, so what we do basically is once a year I do this as a way for, there's a whole lot of people in our community who I love and they love me, and there's no way they can do a year-long commitment. They're not ready. It's a very similar program to what Manjot started with a couple of years ago. Just because she was just getting started, it didn't make sense for her to be in a year-long program. She wasn't ready. So we could get her accelerated, get her making some money. That's my whole thing, is like a lot of different business consultants have all these agendas for your business. I'm like, let me get you to financial independence immediately, as quickly as possible, have the revenue on a system so that it's actually coming in, so you can have the freedom to be expressive, you can have the freedom to be visionary. I don't want you chasing rainbows and butterflies. I want you to actually be monetizing, systemizing, building teams around you so that you're only doing the things in your business that you're fantastic at, that you love. That's it, because that's the place where you can come and be expansive and explore with us as we do philanthropy trips, and we go to, do causes that we really care about, and we choose causes we care about from our community, from other like-minded women that have their causes, so it's a lot of fun. So, any questions? Do you want to unmic? I can't hear you, love. It's like the Muppets. I can see your mouth.
No,
Hi.
That's really helpful. I'm actually going to kind of, so do you start, when you say you do it one time a year, did you start already? Is it starting?
No, it's starting, it's 12 weeks. So people can actually come in. There'll be people that join because everything's recorded. There'll be people that join really now until March. But the opportunity is that if you join now, you actually get 12 weeks of live calls with me. And then you also get 3 one-on-one calls with me as well.
Okay, because there's a good chance that I'll be spending some time in Southern California in the month of April.
Oh, good.
So
Nice.
that's
Maybe you can come and be with us. That would be so fun. Yeah, Limitless Women is so much fun. It's a beautiful event. Go to limitlesswomen.com and check it out. And we have such a great time together, and it's a very sweet experience. So we'd love to have you with us.
great. Thank you.
Good. So the exact dates for Path to Freedom in October are October 6th through the 8th. Yeah, and I hope that you could make it to be with us. Be great. Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, and then I'll be in South America again. In the meantime, my daughter is going to study abroad in Argentina, so we're looking for projects and speaking opportunities that will take us down there so I can be with her. Yeah, so good. All right, wonderful. Well, yeah, Lisa, I'd love to have you with us, and let's chat. Let's get on the calendar to have a chat, and let me know what, how you've been since we talked last and how I can support you. It'd be just awesome to have you with us, sweetie.
Thanks.
Good. Yeah, thank you. All right, so does anybody else have a question or need any support with breaking a bigger goal into a milestone, or kind of next steps of where to focus? You've got I guess I can put it down here for you again, my calendar link to get on a call with me. I start speaking again, my first official speaking engagement is February 1st. Oh, Rebecca, maybe I can be with you. I'm going to be in Calabasas. That's not too far, right? From where you are?
What day is it?
February 1st.
Hold on. Let me double check my calendar really quick.
Hopefully you're not in Washington, D.C. or something. You're always so important.
Let's see, February 1st. No, yeah, I will actually be there. It's right before I leave for Texas.
Okay, cool. I'm speaking at the eWomen chapter in
awesome.
First. Yes, in Calabasas. I don't know the details of where it is, but I'll get it to you. And I would love
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so great. All right, my darlings. So if there's nothing else I can do for you today, I hope this was helpful for you and that you got some value out of it. And again, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you all in person when we get together again and play at our events. And in the meantime, you know, I'm just a Skype call away, Husna. So just when we schedule our time, let's do Skype, especially you're so far away. Let's do that. It's just so wonderful. I love Skyping. And yeah, so I hope this was helpful.
Thank you.
All right, good.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thanks for coming. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.